Sorry, I just need to turn the oven on. I need to make my hash browns. 21 Bridges! I've forgotten how to introduce videos. Hello! So recently, I invested in something that I've wanted for a really long time. I got a Cineworld Unlimited card. Other unlimited cards are available, I suppose? So yeah, I've been trying to make use of that. I've already seen Shaun the Sheep and Joker, and on my way back from work today, I just popped in and saw 21 Bridges. Without getting into spoilers, 21 Bridges is a kind of cop thriller starring Chadwick Boseman and Sienna Miller. J.K. Simmons is there as well, which I didn't realise from the trailers. I didn't remember him from the trailers, but it's always nice to see J.K. Simmons. There is some kind of robbery gone bad, and 8 cops end up dead, and they call in Chadwick Boseman. He's a loose cannon, but damn does he get results. So they call him in, and they decide that the best chance of catching the guys who killed all the police officers is to close down Manhattan Island. They close the 21 bridges that link Manhattan Island to the rest of New York. They close all the subways and the trains. They stop anyone going in and out, apart from the police who can come in, obviously. So that's the basic premise, and in a quick spoiler-free review, I will tell you that it's a really solid cop thriller and really fun. It's a bit twisty, it's a bit turny, there's some good action in there. Chadwick Boseman is really good. J.K. Simmons is always fun in movies, and it's no different here. He doesn't have as much as he has to do in other films, but it's still nice to see him. Sienna Miller and Chadwick Boseman have a nice kind of dynamic going on. Kind of buddy cop stuff. It's fun. I really enjoyed it. The thing is, it's one of those movies that's on at the cinema. I wouldn't go and see this if I couldn't just go in. If I had to pay to go see it, I probably would have given it a miss. And it's quite busy at the cinema at the moment. There's quite a lot on. I could have gone and saw Frozen 2, and Charlie's Angels is out at the end of the week. Knives Out, which I'm really looking forward to. It's a busy time at the cinema, and I feel 21 Bridges is kind of going to get lost in all that. So if you just want 100 minutes, really good time, twisty-turny cop thriller, 21 Bridges, you can't go wrong. It's really nice. It feels kind of like a B movie. They've got one really strong premise. They're closing off the island, there's a ticking clock, they've only got so long to catch these guys. And it's fine, but that's all there is to it. But it does it very well. So getting into spoilers, I kind of walked into the cinema a bit late actually. I got to the cinema and the film was scheduled to start at 4:10. And I knew there would be about half an hour of trailers. So I got into the cinema about 4:30. And then I was in the queue for so long because everyone was there with their kids to go see Frozen 2. And they were all buying massive things of popcorn, drinks. Someone had one of these icy slushy things, and the woman had to go to every single slushy machine because they all did different flavors, and he got 4 different flavors in his one slushy thing. I couldn't deal with that. That's too much sugar. I would be high as a kite. So anyway, I'll be reviewing 21 Bridges sans the first 3 minutes possibly. I don't know. I walked in and it was Chadwick Boseman's father's funeral. I don't know if there was any backstory on that. Chadwick Boseman's dad was a police officer. He died doing police stuff, and then that kind of instilled a sense of justice in Chadwick Boseman, and he is now regarded as the cop who kills cop killers. In his 8 years of service in the police force, he's shot and killed 9 perps or something. That was a bit of cop lingo there, perps. So everyone kind of regards him as this kind of hot-headed, shoot first, ask question later kind of guy. We see very early on that Chadwick Boseman's character is very by the book. He has a strong sense of justice. He is not going to shoot someone without just cause, which I think is a wise choice in 2019 when you're making a police movie because of what's happening in the real world. The light's gone off, sorry. Hash brown time. Right, so throughout the movie, Chadwick Boseman is kind of like dealing with this kind of perceptions of him versus the reality of his actual character, which I think is like a nice added dimension to the film. Like J.K. Simmons is the captain of the precinct who all the cops who got killed in the robbery, he's like very worked up about this at the start, and they call in Chadwick Boseman because he has this history of shooting first and asking questions later. Like that's the perception he gives off, and he gets called in and they want him to just go and kill these guys. They don't want him to ask questions. I think it's a nice touch that everyone is like on edge because 8 of them have been killed. They're gonna want to lash out, and they call in Chadwick Boseman, and he is not the kind of character who's gonna do that. He's going to like go through the standard procedures and do things very by the book. It's really nice to kind of have that contrast there, and he plays with it really well. And he gets kind of partnered up with Sienna Miller's character, who is in narcotics, because the heist that goes wrong, they are going to steal cocaine off some other dealer, and they're expecting 30 keys of cocaine, and there's actually 300, and like they're not equipped to deal with that. They think about pulling out, but like they go along with it. Then the police show up, and there's this whole mess that kind of just escalates. It doesn't get bogged down in like the detective stuff. There's enough of it that like satisfies you. Like, I need to see someone like Sherlock this case. Like Chadwick Boseman walks into the room and he's like, yep, I think there were 2 gunmen. Here's why. Someone got shot in the back, attacking someone with a knife. 2 people coming from the front. Look at the grouping of the shells. Like, spot on stuff. I don't need to be able to spot this. I trust Chadwick Boseman to do it, and he's explaining it very eloquently. I see his entire thought process. Great. The film never like lets up on the pace, and I think that is like one of its biggest strengths. If it kept stopping to have Chadwick Boseman like go into the crime scene and go, I need some forensics on that, and we need to do this, and it's like, we don't need to get bogged down in that. Chadwick Boseman works all this out, and then occasionally throughout the film, someone will say, we spotted them over here, or his friend Yolanda, who like is checking all the traffic cameras, will ring him up and say, we've got a lead and it's over at this club. It plays really nicely with the twists and turns. Sometimes you get twists in movies and it's just too much. The Now You See Me movies get so caught up in like patting themselves on the back on doing the stupidest twists in the world that the movie is just nonsense. 21 Bridges kind of balances it nicely. There's enough twists and enough obstacles in Chadwick Boseman's way that it's satisfying when he overcomes them, and the twists are like telegraphed enough that you're not surprised when they happen, but they do feel like revelations. They've got a lead, and it's this guy, and they've seen him go into a club. 2 cops go into the club to find him, and they just shoot him. You're kind of thinking, well, why have they do that? They need to question him, but like bubbling under the surface of all this is this anger at the people who killed all the cops. So you kind of get it from the police's perspective. Then Chadwick Boseman comes in, tells them all off, punches one of them in the face. It's great. It all makes sense. Like there's no like leaps that are too far in this film. And then throughout the film, you kind of get the idea that there is something extra going on, like something no one's mentioning, and you kind of get some perspective on the killers. And one of them is not made out to be very sympathetic, but one of them is. We get this really interesting scene where it feels like at this point he's decided that this guy doesn't really pose a threat. He's chasing them down. All the other cops are trying to just shoot him, and Chadwick Boseman wants to arrest him because he knows that something bigger is going on. And we get a really good scene where police just keep showing up and like trying to shoot him, and Chadwick Boseman is kind of like pushing them out of the way, or just like trying to give him some cover to like get him somewhere safe so that he can arrest him. It's a really interesting dynamic, and it's something that's like a bit different. So while the general conceit of the film is like he's trapped on an island and they're closing in on this guy and they've only got so long to do it, there's kind of this other layer of Chadwick Boseman like having to save the guy who killed all these cops from all the other cops who want to shoot them. It kind of walks that tightrope. I think it does it quite well. So yeah, like, quick roundup. It's a really good cop thriller. Good performances from Chadwick Boseman, Sienna Miller, J.K. Simmons. They're all fine. The premise is really interesting. It's my hash brown alarm. The premise is really interesting. A lot of good twists. Kind of sloppy in places. Like, sometimes someone will do something and you'll be like, well, why they do that? There's a bit where Chadwick Boseman doesn't even like suspect anything's wrong yet. They find where the killers are, and he says to his partner, like, don't call it in, we're gonna catch him. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Like, you want that backup. So a few, like, it's a bit spotty, but like, it's a really enjoyable thriller, and if you're into that kind of thing, then I recommend checking it out. If you enjoyed this, then like and subscribe, I guess. If you've seen 21 Bridges, like, let me know what you thought in the comments. I thought it was pretty solid. And if there's anything else coming out soon that you want to hear me rant about, then like, let me know, and I'll see you soon. It's good to be back.